Are you thinking about moving to Southfield? Not so fast. Hey, my name is David Fisher, your local realtor, and today we're talking about the 5 biggest hidden costs of buying a home in this beautiful city of Southfield, Michigan. The first and probably biggest hidden cost is the Michigan Uncapping tax bomb. The Michigan Uncapping tax bomb is by far the biggest surprise when it comes to the cost of homes in Southfield. The reason is taxes are fixed in your mortgage payment when you buy a property. But when you buy a house from a lady, let's say this lady bought this property 20 years ago and her taxes were $1,800 a year. In the state of Michigan, they can only raise her taxes a little bit year over year. You're not buying that property and you're buying it at, say, $400,000. Your taxes will uncap the next year, where you thought you had a great deal and bought this property with $1,800 a year taxes. Your taxes are now, say, $8,000 a year. It's a huge additional expense that you may not know you're walking into with these properties. The way it works is they will look at the state equalized value to determine what that property is worth now that you've bought it, and then adjust your taxes to what that value is, not what the previous owner was paying. Keep that in mind when you're shopping for a home in Southfield. The next thing I want to talk about is your plumbing and how a sewer scope should be considered mandatory in a city like Southfield. There's old infrastructure in Southfield. It is what it is. The city's old. A lot of these homes were built between the 1950s and the 1970s. This means your sewer lines, if they're original, could be 70, 80 years old. They're often built of cast iron or clay, and tree roots in Southfield, because of all the trees, are very common. What you don't want to happen is you buy a home, and when you guys move in and you got the dishwasher running and the washer and dryer going and you're in the shower and all that water starts to back up and you're wondering what happened. Well, what a sewer scope can do is make sure that your sewer line, even if it's 50, 60, 80 years old, that it's intact. Because if that sewer line has collapsed or has any blockages, when you start to use the home at its full capacity, you can end up with an unwanted surprise. Make sure to get that sewer scope. Let's talk about the lifespan of your HVAC, your heating and cooling system. For most properties, especially in the median price range of $300,000 to $350,000, you're likely looking at 15 to 20-year-old HVAC systems and water heaters. And while they may be working great today, they could be towards the end of their life cycle. This is something really important that you want to inspect during your inspection contingency when buying a home in Southfield. If the appliances, if the HVAC systems are over 10, 15 years old, even if they're working great today, make sure you negotiate a home warranty. That way, if you have problems in the near future, it won't fall square on your shoulders to make that costly repair. Now, let's talk about one of the hidden taxes of Southfield. It's not really a tax, but we call it the Commuter's Freeway Tax. It's the trade-off of Southfield's beautiful location that we always talk about. It's great being, with the lodge right there and 696 right there. And yeah, I said 696, so you see where I'm going with this. When there's great construction on these freeways, traffic can be horrible. And the spill-off effect on 12 mile, 11 mile, 10 mile can congest the whole city because you have these major freeways in the heart as the artery of Southfield, right? So what happens, this construction that might be minor inconveniences for some, when you're living in Southfield and you're living in one of Detroit's most heavily trafficked corridors, that construction can then spill over into your entire city, causing headaches for years until the construction is complete. The last thing I want to talk about is homeowners association fees. There's 2 types of HOAs in Southfield, and there's the mandatory condo fees, which can be high. Think 4 to 6 to over $1,000 in some condominium complexes, to very small volunteer-run subdivisions, right? You might live in a subdivision where they send you a letter and say, hey, send $20 because we're doing the gardening at the front. You don't have to. You just get side-eyed really funny if you don't. So when you're shopping in Southfield, you want to make sure you know what these HOA fees are and what they cover. I've seen people buy HOAs or condos in Southfield with HOAs and see the fees go up dramatically year over year. So when you're buying in a condominium, make sure to look at the financial health of that HOA, of that association. Do they have reserves, which means they have money saved in case something big comes up and they have to do the roofing in the complex? Because if they don't have any reserves built up, if they need to do a big project, they're coming to you for that money. Well, that's not so bad, right? These are just some of the common costs that will probably come up if you were buying in any other city in Southeast Michigan. So if you're ready to make the next steps and get your next home, or maybe sell your next home, give me a call, 248-834-7226. Look forward to talking to you soon.